What an embarrassment. What an absolute embarrassment. If you ever wondered what the theory of diversity actually looks like in reality, if you ever wondered what the consequences were for making the mistake of valuing diversity over talent, Uncle KC is about to show you the proof. Normally, I don't amplify honest mistakes made by others in media. There have been plenty of times when I have misidentified someone or gotten someone's name wrong, or in some cases, even their gender. Uncle KC is a regular violator of the woke commandments when it comes to the failure to use proper pronouns. I once referred to they as them. I once saw a bearded beauty in the WNBA and wrongfully assumed she was he. I've seen an abundance of baldness on MSNBC and naturally assumed the roofless dome belonged to a man. When it comes to names, especially names belonging to anonymous faces, I'm horrible. I can't tell you how many times I have been corrected when talking about Bob Greiner. Remember Travis Noah, the doofus who damn near destroyed The Daily Show? Several years ago, when Travis was a regular topic of conversation here on the channel, every time I talked about Travis, someone would correct me. I think you mean Trevor Noah. No, I mean Travis, asshole. The point is, I try not to overreact to the misidentification of some of these so-called stars because most of these people are unknown. It's impossible to keep up with everyone. I mean, who cares if someone gets Breanna Stewart confused with Rod Stewart? Bree should take that as a compliment because Rod Stewart has actual talent. But if you're working in sports media, mainstream sports media, there are certain legendary names that should come naturally to your memory. For example, if someone showed me a picture of Brett Favre, there's no chance I'm calling him Bart. If someone is visiting my studio wearing a red jersey with the number 23 on the front and back, I'm not thinking he's a fan of DeAndre Jordan. When you grow up watching sports, there are certain names you just don't forget. The legendary Barry Sanders would be one of them. Unfortunately for Mo McDougal at ESPN, but my name is Monica McNutt.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
It damn sure doesn't matter what your name is after the way you humiliated yourself and your network Friday morning. Unfortunately for Mo McDougal, who Uncle KC has been telling you guys for months is not qualified for her current position at the worldwide leader in woke, Friday morning, Mo once again proved Uncle KC was right. She was back on First Take after being kicked off the show last summer for chastising Stephen A. Smith. They were interviewing someone named Druski, who the kids refer to as a famous comedian. I've never heard of Drew before, but I'm sure he's a nice dude. He damn sure has great taste in athletes that he chooses to honor because Drew, he appeared on First Take Friday morning wearing a Barry Sanders jersey. It was clear to anyone watching, whether you're 15 or 45, that Drew was wearing a Barry Sanders jersey. It was clear to everyone except Monica McDougal, who thought Drew was wearing a Detroit Lions jersey that belonged to Shedeur Sanders. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I know the upload schedule has been lighter this weekend. YouTube has been asking me to upgrade my camera equipment to 4K, and I've been trying to get it set up. You would think this would be simple. It's not. I spent hours yesterday afternoon trying to get this camera set up. Apparently, The lighting in my studio doesn't translate well to the detail of 4K. There were points yesterday where I looked like I had leprosy on camera. Then my wife comes into the studio hours later, stands behind the camera. She looks like a damn model. I got frustrated with it yesterday. I gave up, but I'm going to try again today after the Saints game. But that's the reason for the lighter schedule this weekend. We will be back to our normal routine tomorrow. Hopefully in 4K. Friday morning, Monica McNutt, she was hosting First Take. I have been complaining for years about Molly Karam hosting this show. Molly is easy on the eyes, but absolutely brutal on the ears. She constantly interrupts. She thinks the 4 letters in her job title are STAR instead of HOST. But one thing I can tell you with 100% certainty about Molly Karam, she knows who Barry Sanders is. Mo McDougal, she's hosting the show Friday morning. For some reason, a show that's supposedly dedicated to sports is interviewing a comedian. Look, I've got nothing against Druski. I've never heard of him. From what little I've read about him, he seems like a talented dude, but I've just never understood why ESPN does this. I've never understood why ESPN injects celebrities into sports shows. Oftentimes, the segments are awkward. It's elementary questions like, who is your favorite team? What athletes in your dreams? What male cheerleader makes you passionately scream? What rapper makes your shoulder lean? Who cares? Nothing against Drew, but I don't care what his favorite team is. If I'm tuning into ESPN, which is rare, but if I'm tuning into ESPN in the middle of August, I want to hear about the NFL preseason. Multiple teams are having quarterback battles. Players are fighting for roster spots. There have already been injuries. A couple of players in New Orleans are already out for the season. If I'm tuning into ESPN, I want to hear thoughts from real analysts. I'm not tuning in to hear some comedian talk about his love of beanie weenies. Unfortunately for ESPN, the awkwardness, it didn't come from Druski, who completely nailed this segment. The awkwardness came from Monica McNutt, who ESPN refers to as an analyst. Watch for yourself.
The jersey. Let's get into it, because obviously this ties to one Shedeur Sanders, who balled out in his first preseason.
Is Mo McDougal colorblind? There didn't seem to be lighting issues in the studio. There was plenty of natural light from New York City. Stage lights appeared to be working properly. Monica McNutt was sitting about 6 feet away from Drew. She was complying with social distancing guidelines at ESPN, and there was nothing blocking her view. She had a perfect line of sight to see Drew. So, is she colorblind? Or even worse, fully blind? I'm struggling to understand how a blue jersey could possibly belong to Shedeur Sanders. I'm struggling to understand how someone who is paid to cover sports for a living could think that Shedeur Sanders plays for the Detroit Lions. For starters, there's not a quarterback in the league that wears number 20. Numbers in their 20s typically reserved for running backs. Not all of them, but for the most part, running backs usually wear numbers in their 20s. But the more obvious clue should have been the color of the jersey. Unless he was traded in the last hour or so, Shedeur Sanders plays for the Cleveland Browns. Keyword: Browns, not Blues. You know, the team with the hideous orange helmets along with the brown jerseys. It would be one thing if this was the first embarrassing moment for Mo McDougal at the worldwide leader in woke, but her entire career at ESPN has been a constant embarrassment. Last summer, she chastised Stephen A. Smith on his own show for not covering the WNBA in the past. The segment went viral. Mo McDougal was temporarily in the mainstream. She was appearing on late-night talk shows. She was being praised by her pretend friends in the media for fighting the patriarchy. To his credit, Stephen A. Smith appeared to kick Mo off of First Take. She didn't appear on the show again for months, but for reasons unknown, Stevie has brought Mo back on the show. She has constantly used mythical racism when talking about Caitlin Clark, claimed that little girls admire Caitlin Clark because she's white. Mo McDougal is one of many at ESPN that ties everything into race. She's no different than Crying Ryan Clark, David the Junior Doofus, L. Duncan. Hell, this network is a disaster. It is a diversity nightmare because it proves why diversity doesn't work. To make matters worse, ESPN has either fired or let go of people with actual talent. Zach Lowe, Colin Cowherd, Bill Simmons, Trey Wingo, Sam Ponder, Steve Young, Sage Steele, David Pollock, Susie Colbert. For one reason or another, these talented people are no longer at the worldwide leader in woke, but that's okay. ESPN replaced them with plenty of pretend analysts. The face of pretend analysis, Mina Kimes. The official job title for Monica McDougal at ESPN, NBA analyst. How in the hell can Mo McDougal analyze the NBA? She wasn't even talented enough to make the WNBA. You know, there is an old saying, in the land of the blind, the man with one eye is king. In the case of ESPN, the man with one eye in the land of the blind, Stephen A. Smith. I like Stephen A. I respect his talent. I don't watch much of Stephen A. on ESPN for obvious reasons, but I do like his show on YouTube, mainly because it's just him. There is no denying his talent. But that does not mean he can put together a talented team. Michael Jordan is the greatest athlete that ever lived. He absolutely sucked when it came to building a roster. When First Take was at its best, it was Stephen A. debating Skip Bayless or Stephen A. debating Max Kellerman. I enjoyed the segments when it was Stephen A. and Michael Irvin. It was always Stephen A. and someone who actually knew what the hell they were talking about. Today, First Take has damn near become BET. It's a rotation of panelists. Some are okay, but most of them are the drizzling shits. What the hell is David Dennis Jr. doing on First Take? The last show he was on got canceled. Why is Mo McDougal on this show? L. Duncan. What the hell can L. Duncan tell me about the NFL? It's just not the same show, and it's the reason I no longer watch it. But sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.